But today, people go to churches and give testimony for getting a South African visa. Nigerians know that this individual or this group of individuals had never won a free and fair election. As it stands now, some Nigerians even invariably imply that we should fabricate a metal crown and give to them for being the masters of electoral malpractice. If you steal a little money, you are prosecuted, but when you steal so large an amount of money, you are given accolades and titles. You are said to be someone who had capacity. As we speak today, the politicians are now coming out with their children right in our face to come and show us their succession plan. All of those things that everybody universally agrees to the wrong Nigeria is now becoming the new normal, and that is my biggest problem. I want to ask the question, where are we going with this? Nigeria right now seems to be under a spell. Today, the fact that Nigeria is in a serious leadership crisis is no longer the issue, because of course everybody can attest to the fact that Nigeria right now seems to be under a spell, because the more we struggle to try to achieve good leadership, the more we slide into more leadership mess and malfeasance that are coming from the leadership class and the politicians and all of that. But that is not even the major problem that I have with what is going on today. Rather, what happens to be my biggest concern with the country today is the fact that a lot of the things that destroys this country, a lot of the things that we have been complaining about, a lot of those things that everybody universally agrees to be wrong with Nigeria is now becoming the new normal, and that is my biggest problem. As at today, all the things that we had unanimously agreed to be the problem of this country, some way, somehow has persisted to a point now that everybody, including those who had initially advocated against those things, are now almost accepting all of those things now to become the new normal. And that is the greatest problem that I see with Nigeria today. And I want to ask the question, where are we going with this? As we speak today, almost everybody has accepted the fact that electoral malpractice, election rigging, and all of the things that are wrong with our electoral system is good. And I'll tell you, because today a person or a group of persons had constantly and consistently rigged elections. Election after elections, they've consistently rigged it to a point now that Nigerians now are now coming up with the narrative that, oh, every election he has participated in, he has always won, irrespective of how he won. So for that, we should all come together and give him accolade for his strides in election malpractice. Nigerians know that this individual or this group of individuals had never won a free and fair election. But for certain reasons, Nigerians are almost now accepting that shenanigan, that crime, that illegality of electoral malpractice, because they have done it consistently for so long a time. Therefore, we should now accept it as a norm. In fact, as it stands now, some Nigerians even invariably imply that we should fabricate a metal crown and give to them for being the masters of electoral malpractice. And that's the biggest problem. As we speak today, except maybe people like myself and Omotosho, every other person in Nigeria had accepted the fact that electoral malpractice and electoral rigging is part of the Nigerian culture, that we should live and make do with it. As we speak today, in our judicial system, it is almost the same thing. Right now, people can immediately, when the matter comes up, and tell you that, oh, they will go to Omotosho's court and get whatever judgment they want to get. They talk about it as if it's a normal thing. And time again, exactly the way they have said it, it is happening. And nobody seems to be worried about that trend and that trajectory that Nigeria is taking. As we speak today, politicians, they openly steal the common patrimony of everybody. In fact, if you steal a little money, you are prosecuted. But when you steal so large an amount of money, you are given accolades and titles. You are said to be someone who had capacity. In fact, people will throng out and celebrate you. That is the kind of Nigeria that we now have. And the question is, where are we going with this? In fact, as we speak today, it has gotten so bad that even some of the people who were advocating against the wrongs in our society, people who were agitating and advocating for a good Nigeria in the past, have today now began to form alliance, began to conform to this new normal, this system of things where wrongs are said to be right and where rights are no longer seen as a virtue or anything worth commending. So today, Nigerians are left with just three options. It is either you get frustrated enough and go and create your own crime ring and illicit venture where you would use to get wealthy, or you get helpless enough and then join the bandwagon and begin to sing praises to the same criminals that you were condemning yesterday, or you get tired enough and then you leave the country. Those are the three options that are left for every conscious Nigerian today. And the question is, where are we going with this? If we make a contrast with what is happening today and what was obtainable in the recent past, in the past, even while we had the military in place, Nigerians stood their ground to demand for a better country. Student union came together, mobilized, and protested against the military. In fact, these things happened even while the military were using public execution as deterrent to threaten people from challenging them. Nigerians never deterred. The media organization, the press corps, continue to press on as opposed to the partnership that we have today. In fact, even when people like Delegiwa was murdered, the media and the press corps of Nigeria never deterred. They continue pressing on. They continue criticizing and demanding that the military should do away with the leadership of this country. But today, what do we have? In the past, the military can lock you up. They can even execute you in Lagos or send you to Krikri, and somebody here in the south may not know even after a year. But today, with the advent of the internet and social media and all of those things, whatever happened here in split second, the whole world will be aware of it. But today, Nigerians have become even more fearful, more afraid of their own democratic leaders than Nigerians were yesterday of the military who ruled by the barrels of the gun. And I ask, where are we going with this? It is sad and unfortunate. Back then, Nigerians were respected across the world. In fact, our currency had value. Nigerians were respected, but Nigerians never saw traveling out of Nigeria as a big deal, because back then everybody wanted to stand to fight for a better Nigeria. But today, people go to churches and give testimony for getting a South African visa. People want to leave this country to countries where holds no promise compared to what we have in Nigeria. Even though they will live in those countries as dogs, Nigerians do not care. And I ask again, where are we going with this? The El Dorado that we are running to, America that we always aspire or dream to live in, people also pay the ultimate price for those countries to become what they are today. But how come today, when we now have a free world, Nigerians no longer want to make any sacrifice for the lifting of their own country? Rather, everybody now wants to conform. But here is the risk. The most difficult and the most terrible thing that I have even witnessed in all of this thing is that the leaders who had kept Nigeria the way it is are very deliberate in the action that they are doing. They are very united in their plan against the ordinary Nigerians. And most Nigerians had become so preoccupied with entertainment and with things that does not even matter, that they are not even seeing the dangers ahead. But I'll tell you, today as we speak, our politicians has become more abrasive, more audacious, and even more daring than ever before. As we speak today, the politicians are now coming out with their children right in our face to come and show us their succession plan. They are coming out now with their children to come and show us the people who they want to hand over this country to. And Nigerians too, who should resist the action of these people, have all been beaten to submission, had all been beaten by the bulk of sycophancy, that today you see Nigerians clapping, shouting, dancing for the same politicians who have destroyed their own future. You see them worshiping even the sand that comes off the feet of their oppressors. You see them singing all kinds of praises for the children of the people who had made them slaves in their own lands. Children that most times even have dual citizens. Children that if today this country burns down, they have an alternative country where they are citizens, where they will go to. And I ask the question again, what and where are we going with what is happening in Nigeria? The highest crime today is to be a conscious Nigerian who advocates for a better Nigeria, whereas the best people Nigeria rewards, adores, and celebrates are the criminals who are destroying this country that God gave to us. And that's the reason why today as we speak, if you're not a criminal, if you're not a politician, if you're not maybe in the judiciary and part of those who are keeping us where we are today, nobody recognizes you. In fact, there is a new maxim now in the political sphere in Nigeria that says that the world can do without the best. And because of that, they abandon everybody that has anything to contribute to this country and go for those rotten heads, those crazy bar head who has no resonance with what proper citizenship should be and what leadership should be. Those are the people that are encouraged. Those are the people that are rewarded with consequential position that had kept us the way that we are. And Nigerians are of the illusion that perhaps they can go to church and pray away the problem that is facing this country. Nigerians now believe that they can go to bed and wake up one morning and miraculously the people that are responsible for all the things that we are going through this country have a change of heart and begin to behave properly. But I tell you something, that day will never come. Yes, I believe that Rome was not built in a day, but at least Rome was built, work was done. Rome was not stagnated and then turned into Rome all of a sudden. Therefore, Nigerians should rise up and begin to query this anomaly that is happening in our society today, because it's only that way that we can get out of where we are. And I tell you, I say this with no prejudice, but I tell you that look, corruption buried in secret destroys a nation. Of course, truth elevates, truth motivates, and above all, truth heals. That's why we must continue to say this truth. Remain your comrade in the struggle, Comr Solomon Lenu. And till I come your way again next time, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do well to do so.